This is one of our farms. This one is located here at Nsukka, Enugu State. And the land is within an urban area. So it was lying fallow for some time. We didn't know what to do with it. And then we now said, okay, why not plant plantain and add other few crops so we can supply within the local area because we don't have such farm here. So we decided to do plantain trial. And this is not up to 2 months we established here. Okay, now, how did we do it? Why did we do it? We discovered that plantain is profitable, and once the canopy is established, we have very little weed management practice at the end of the day. And looking at our soil, though when we started it was not quite fertile, but we worked on it, did our soil test, and then did a nutrient management plan for the soil, and then we kicked off. So I will quickly talk about the site selection, plant spacing, and then the establishment. So these are plantain. We got them, the suckers. These were suckers we got, and then we just got suckers that are already established. We did not want to use the micro propagated variety, the one that was got from mini-cut technique. We just decided to get full suckers for the first trial because we know that they have higher survival rates than the other ones, according to the research we made before we started. And then when starting, we used a spacing of 3 by 2 meter, inter and intra-row spacing. Then for planting, we, first of all, because our soil test showed that we had low organic matter content, and then we also had very low nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus for the macronutrients. And then we decided to use organic manure to support it because it's what is readily available. Why did we use organic manure? Organic manure helps to improve the soil structure, and then the nutrients are slowly released into the soil. Then the organic matter content also increases the microbial activity within the soil region. And secondly, it's also very healthy as an organic practice, a way of helping to maintain the soil structure and then the standard of the soil. Then when we now worked on the nutrient content of the soil, we added about 3 kg of organic manure per planting hole. For the planting hole, we use 60 cm, 60 by 60 cm, so we can have enough space. And then we now first of all mixed the organic manure with the topsoil that was gotten from this particular place, mix it together, and then use it to form the base of the plant before we now planted. When we now mixed the soil mixture, we now planted. Now, why we did that is that when you have a mixture of the topsoil with the organic manure, there's more nutrient at the root zone of the plant, which helps in quick rooting and then quicker establishment. As you can see, some people are surprised when we came here and they saw that the plants were already established within a short period of time, even though we had a problem at the beginning because of the rainfall pattern. At a point we thought the farm would fail, but thank God we had rain, and then it was established. So when we planted, after the mixture, we now planted and then we covered the soil. Now, if you also see, we tried to use manual weeding. We decided not to use herbicide for the weed control. Then after weeding, we used part of the weeded material to cover the topsoil. Now, why we are doing this also is that this will further help us to control moisture loss, especially within the plant root area, Then when we use the mulching material, it reduces moisture loss and also helps to retain, helps in temperature control to cool down the root zone of the crop. Okay. Now, also while we are planting, because of the nature of the rainfall pattern, we developed a technique, a depression method. We, instead of having a mound that is kind of high, we decided to do kind of reduce the kind of a depressed bed. Now, instead of having a raised bed, we had a depressed bed. Why did we do this? When you have a raised bed, you have more moisture runoff. But when you have a depressed bed like this, more moisture will be retained. Like this area now, when there is rainfall, it retains more moisture for us and then gives the plant more water during the drought period. And it helps our plants to survive the more. Then after we planted, we had issue with, if you look at the leaves, we had issues with some certain grasshopper varieties, species that are within this environment. They started eating up our leaves, and we didn't really do much. We just applied an organic manure, organic pesticide. We got a mixture of neem oil, and then mixed it together with the water from the leaves. Allowed it for like 2 days after mixing in hot water. Allowed it for like a few days, and then we applied on the leaves. And you can see the leaves are coming back. Sometime like this last week, it was very terrible. But as you can see, fresh leaves are coming back, and we're having less attack on the leaves. So that's how we're able to control the pest that we're attacking it for now. So now that it has established, we will not leave the spaces in between. We are going to plant cucumber here to help us cover the space so that we can actively utilize the space in the land. So that once the canopy is established, by then we would have harvested and we'll have little to worry about weed during at that point in time. Plantain takes about 8 to 9 months to fruit. And for a bunch here, we sell for up to 1,200 per bunch. And once this plantain is fully established, you will not need to go for new suckers again. At maturity, each plantain produces suckers by the side. And that sucker can either be transplanted or allowed to grow into a full plantain plant. So with one planting material, you have a perennial planting material to continue your farm practice at the end of the day. So it gives you a recurrent, continuous income as the year goes by. It keeps on producing, Under good management, you will not have a challenge. Plantain business is profitable, very, very profitable. And we know it gives you a stable source of income. And with the way we have planned the farm, we will soon be supplying plantain to the nearby households here who find it difficult to get plantain. They have to go far into the town market to get plantain. But with what we have here, this area is already covered. By this time next year, we're already supplying plantain to everybody around here. So I will encourage every young person who is interested into plantain farming to go into it. With little capital, you are ready to start. We got a sucker, each of the suckers for 250 naira. And with about 40,000, you can get over 200 suckers. If you are in good terms with the farmer that is supplying you, you can have over 300 suckers, and and then you continue with that. So with this, you are ready to go in plantain farming. There are also other value additions. After harvest, you can decide to sell, or you can decide to go into processing. If you decide to sell the raw plantain, you still have some money. You can decide to convert your plantain into plantain chips by adding more value. You still sell. You can decide to convert it to plantain flour. You also still sell. Plantain flour is a good source of food, especially for diabetic patients, because of the low starch content. So it's also a good, we have a good market for it also. So with that, with the value chains there and the little management practice we have, then you are good to go. There are diseases that can be controlled, but with good cultural practice, you will not have a lot to worry about plantain disease in this area. For the pests, a little mixture of neem oil or neem leaf water, you can easily control your pests here. I think with that, plantain farming is a good one.